The Unbroken Brush. Maria, a testament to resilience, stood before the mirror, her fingers tracing the scar from her collarbone to her hip. The accident had left her body broken, but her spirit remained unbreakable. She picked up her brush, dipped it in crimson paint, and began to create. The canvas before her was as blank as her future had seemed just months ago, when she lay in a hospital bed, doctors whispering that she might never walk again. But Maria had other plans. She would paint if she couldn't dance, as she had once dreamed. And through her art she would soar. As she worked, memories flooded back. The screech of metal, the shattering of glass, the searing pain that had engulfed her. But with each brushstroke, she transformed that pain into something beautiful, something powerful. Her art was a testament to the transformative power of creativity, turning suffering into strength and adversity into beauty. The woman emerging on the canvas wore a deep red robe embroidered with intricate patterns that seemed to pulse with life. Her dark eyes stared out defiantly, challenging the viewer to look away. Behind her, stylized waves roiled, hinting at the turbulent emotions beneath the surface. Maria paused, studying her creation. The woman on the canvas was her, but not her. She was stronger and fiercer, the woman Maria aspired to be. A knock at the door interrupted her reverie. "Maria, are you ready?" It was her mother, worry evident in her voice. "Just a moment," Maria called back. She looked at herself in the mirror again, adjusting the collar of her red robe. Today was the day of her first art show, a small exhibition at a local cafe. It wasn't much, but it was a start. As she made her way slowly down the stairs, leaning heavily on her cane, Maria could hear the murmur of voices from the living room. Her family had gathered to accompany her to the show, their support a balm to her nerves. Her father's eyes widened as she entered the room. "Mihija," he breathed, "you look just like your painting." Maria smiled, touching the fabric of her robe. It had been her grandmother's, passed down through generations. The embroidery told stories of their family's past, of struggles overcome and triumphs celebrated. The drive to the cafe was quiet, tension thick in the air. Maria's fingers twitched, itching to hold a brush. Painting had become her refuge, her way of processing the world around her and the turmoil within. As they pulled to the cafe, Maria's breath caught in her throat. A small crowd had gathered outside, peering through the windows at her paintings. She hadn't expected so many people. Her brother helped her out of the car and supported her as she made her way to the entrance. The cafe owner, Elena, greeted her with a warm smile and a gentle hug. "They're all here to see your work, Maria," Elena whispered. "You've touched something in them." As Maria entered, the crowd parted, creating a path for her. She moved slowly, taking in the sight of her paintings hung on the walls. Each was a piece of her soul, laid bare for all to see. She paused before her self-portrait, which she had finished just that morning. The soft light of the cafe seemed to glow, the reds even more vibrant than she remembered. A young girl tugged at her robe. "Excuse me," she said shyly, "are you the lady in the painting?" Maria smiled down at her. "In a way," she replied. "That's who I am on the inside." The girl nodded solemnly. "She looks strong," she said. "Like she could do anything." "That's right," Maria agreed. "And so can you." As the evening wore on, Maria was drawn into conversation after conversation. People shared their own stories of struggle and resilience, inspired by the raw emotion in her work. An older woman with gnarled hands grasped Maria's arm. "Your paintings," she said, her voice quavering, "make me feel seen. Like my pain has meaning." A man with haunted eyes stood silently before her portrait of a broken doll, tears streaming down his face. When Maria approached him, he simply nodded, unable to speak. As the crowd began to thin, Elena approached with a man in a crisp suit. "Maria," she said excitedly, "this is Mr. Vega. He owns a gallery in the city, and is very interested in your work." Mr. Vega shook Maria's hand, his eyes bright with enthusiasm. "Your paintings are extraordinary," he said. "The way you capture emotion, the vibrancy of your colors. I haven't seen anything like it in years. I'd like to discuss the possibility of a show at my gallery." Maria's head spun. A show in the city. It was more than she had ever dared to hope for. As the last guests left and her family helped clean up, Maria found herself again before her self-portrait. She studied the woman on the canvas, seeing her now through new eyes. The strength, defiance and passion she had painted had all been within her all along. The accident hadn't broken her. It had stripped away everything but her essential self, revealing the core of steel beneath. Maria's journey was a testament to the connection between suffering and strength, a story of resilience and determination. She thought of all the people who had connected with her work, who had seen themselves reflected in her pain and triumph. Perhaps this was why she had survived and had been given this gift. Show others that beauty could arise from suffering, and that strength could be found in vulnerability. Maria picked up her cane and straightened her shoulders. The woman in the portrait seemed to nod in approval. Tomorrow, she will begin a new painting. Her journey was beginning, and she had many more stories to tell. As she left the cafe, the cool night air kissed her cheeks. The stars above seemed to shine more brightly than ever before. Maria took a deep breath, feeling the promise of the future tingling in her veins. She was unbroken. She was an artist. And her greatest masterpiece was yet to come.